What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sehgal show, where we interview some unstoppable entrepreneurs who are dominating figures in their businesses. Sahil here, back again with an awesome, insane guest. The guest we are bringing on today has mastered the game of flipping houses and, most importantly, the concept of hero's journey as well. I got a chance to meet him personally at FHL this year. He's a real estate investor based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and his team currently flip and wholesale 200 plus deals per year in Tennessee and Northern Florida. He's the CEO and owner of Seven Figure Flipping, where he helps lead the top housing flipping and wholesaling mentoring groups in the nation. Without any further ado, let's welcome Bill Allen to our show today. What's up, everyone? This is Sahil here, and welcome to the Sehgal show, where I'm gonna be interviewing some crazy entrepreneurs out there who started from scratch with no experience, resources, and connections, and then later on became unstoppable and dominating figures in their respective businesses. We're gonna dive deep into the mindset of these super successful entrepreneurs to find out how they did it and how you can model it too. It's time to pick their brains and uncover all the strategies and tactics which these entrepreneurs use to scale their businesses from nowhere to multiple 6, 7, and 8 figures. Welcome to the Sehgal show.
Hey, how are you?
All good. Super awesome to have you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is going to be fun. I specifically love talking to coaches and consultants, especially now with my mastermind business. It's like where my focus is almost 100%.
That's awesome. Super awesome to hear this. Before we start without any other questions, it's my heartiest thanks to you, bro, for coming on to this interview. This interview is special to me. I remember when we met at FHL and I asked you for an interview, you mentioned that Sahil, I will only come if you are going to be doing this for long term. So I remember that statement and I'm sticking to that. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I heard it from somebody else. They said, "Hey, I'm only going to come on your show if you've done, 100 episodes or 50 episodes or more." Because I find a lot of times in the very beginning, people start something and then they quit, right?
Yeah.
And so, you come on, we take our time, which is our most valuable resource, and we come on, do something, and then it's just gone. And I think a lot of people get started and they just don't see it through, So it's really important for me to do that. I find when people are really dedicated, I might drop it from 100 shows to 50 shows.
Absolutely. I agree to that. That's total respect for in terms of that. All right. Talking about your journey, Bill, and it's when I was looking at all your whole journey, it's different in so many ways, like how other entrepreneurs start by starting searching the stuff on Google and all that, but you kind of jumping out of nowhere from the army background and then you started. So I want to share your story to tell people like there are so many different ways you can start this journey. So I want to kind of, if you can give some broad strokes on your journey, how did it all started from the army background?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick with it because it's usually a really long story. Everybody's got a long one, right? But for me, I felt like it was like a side hustle. A lot of people have this idea that I'm just going to do something on the side, and then you get some traction in there, and it becomes something you're like totally involved in. You love it. Like I started watching the real estate TV shows. I flew airplanes and helicopters for the Navy for a long time. And when I started this, I was a test pilot in Patuxent River, Maryland. So we would test aircraft, and I just had our first son. I got married, had our first son. I said, I feel like I don't want to keep deploying overseas and going on deployment and being away from a family now. It was easy when I was single, but it was more of a challenge then. And I also want some more income, and I have 3 mouths to feed now instead of 1. So it was, for me, that was the turning point of trying to figure out there might be something more financially and find more financial freedom. And I found real estate and house flipping. And I was watching these TV shows. I was on online forums all the time. And I started to become almost as passionate or more passionate about that. Like I would go to Lowe's and Home Depot and just look at tiles and pricing and look at houses and talk about houses and real estate, even though I hadn't done anything in there really. And so when you start seeing your passion really get fired up and lit up, I think there's something there to explore. And so I just did it on the side. I actually built a company that was doing about $2.5 million a year on the side while I was still flying full-time for the military. So don't let anybody tell you also that you can't work your full-time job and do something on the side. So I was able to build a team around me that was doing the majority of the work while I was flying 10, 12 hours a day. So kind of got started in there and then saw a lot of success and said, well, I should should keep leaning into this, right? I did one house, made $40,000. That was half my income for the whole year as a military pilot. And I got hooked, and then it was the next year I did one. And then I heard about people that were doing a lot more, coaches and consultants that were helping people in mastermind groups. And I joined one of those and paid, $25,000 to figure out how to grow a company. And they helped me scale up while still keeping my full-time job. I eventually left the Navy and went full-time into real estate.
Oh, that's a great journey. I remember I was watching your interview. You were mentioning about Justin. He threw an offer of $25,000, and then you bought that offer. First one, I think, who bought that offer.
That's exactly right. So he was actually in Russell Brunson's inner circle at the time. He sent out an email to his list and talking about it on the podcast, and I was one of the first people. It wasn't easy, by the way. If you're listening to this, like, oh, this guy had $25,000. Not really. Like, I took a loan for my 401k, and I just believed in this guy. This guy was talking to me. He was vulnerable. He was open. He was honest. He was talking about systems and processes. He really met me where I was. And for some reason, even just listening to a podcast, I never met him, didn't go to an event to buy something. And I had never even bought a book before that. Like, I was incredibly cheap. And I will tell you, if you're listening to this and you're building a coaching and consulting program or a mastermind group or something, or even just a video course or something, the more real that you are, you'll attract people that are just like you. And what I noticed in getting to know him is our values and our character really aligned well. And we've been friends, since then. And I held him at a really high regard because he had a podcast, he had authority, he had credibility. He was doing what I wanted to do. He had a great family, really great values, and authentic and he's talking about all the things he screwed up. He's talking, everything wasn't perfect in his life, just like everybody else. Yeah. And it just kind of drew me in. And so I've been modeling that since, like, really just making sure that I attract people that, they go through struggles. We all do, all these problems and things like that. So I would say that's the biggest tip that I can give you if you're starting something, is just to share your story, share your journey.
Oh, that's a great point there. And you said it very right. It's just be you, be genuine, whatever you are. You can't make it or fake it for a long time. Like, you're going to be stuck there. But I can imagine it was not easy for you to kill off your old identity, and then you become something new. So how was that phase when you were growing? Obviously, it might be overwhelming, or you seeing all that stuff happening. So how was the transition?
Yeah, I think so we go through these cycles where we have something from our past that kind of brings in a belief that creates some sort of fear and creates an identity in us. And so this is what I like to talk about a lot, is killing off that old identity and moving into this new you, or this new belief system, this new mindset. A lot of words for it, right? Yeah. And kind of, I can't do that, or I don't think I can do that, always creeps in. The identity is basically that thing on your shoulder saying, why do you think you can do that? You can't do that. They can do it, but you can't do it. It might be the way you were raised, or your job, or those kind of things. And so a lot of that crept in. As I remember very specifically in the very beginning, my mentor told me I need to hire somebody because I'm flying full time. And I was like, I'm not hiring anybody. I don't want to be responsible for paying them, put the food on their table. That sounds really scary. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what paperwork's needed. Like, all these excuses just kept creeping into my head. And I actually said no. I remember on that coaching call, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna be a one-man show. He's like, all right, well, you're having trouble doing more than one house a year, and you want to do 12. My goal was to do 12 the first year. He said, when you figure out how to do that, just call me back and let me know, and I'll coach you from there. And I just kind of got off the call. This is a guy who ran a team of like 20 people. And I immediately was like, oh, it's easy for him. He can hire people and do all that stuff. But I wanted to keep flying. I wanted to keep doing my job. I love my job. Right? I fly in airplanes all day. And I wear pajamas. It was great. Flight suits, like, I throw that on and I'm more comfortable than I was in the pajamas in the morning. So I went to him, and about a week later, and said, all right, I'm paying you $25,000. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And I think if I wasn't paying that $25K, this is why I think coaching programs and masterminds and mentorship is so important. That made me accountable to the thing that I decided to do those weeks earlier. Said, I'm all in on this for the next year. Like, this is my plan. I told my wife, this is what I'm doing. I told my family, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go flip houses. I'm going to go grow a business. I'm going to start a business, all this stuff. And I was accountable to all of those decisions. And so I said, okay, tell me what to do. And over time, it wasn't easy. Like, the first person I hired worked with me for 2 weeks, and then she moved, and I trained her for 2 weeks, and she moved and had to quit. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starting over. I could have quit then, right? And I hired somebody else, and it was good. Like it was good, but I wasn't seeing the growth that I expected. And I hired somebody else, and then it kind of started taking off. And I just very slowly, like you don't just kill off the identity overnight. It's like it's an arc. It's this character arc that happens inside of us. So we start like very slowly, like chipping away at the old you of I can't do this, and you start thinking I can. And that's it's a challenge. Like I still even to this day I don't fly. I'm still in the military, but they don't let me fly anymore for them. I'm too old and too expensive, and I still have trouble like hanging up my flight suit and putting that in my past, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the real estate side now, you know, doing some more things with entrepreneurs and coaches and consultants. It's like I'm the real estate guy, right? And so just you're constantly evolving through your journey, and it's a challenge to kill it off. But I'll say you have to have that guide and that mentor along the way that helps you along the way, like just like Andy did for me.
Yeah, that was a very great point. You mentioned that you were invested. That's why you took that. Now you know that you had been accountable, and then you're gonna be doing it. There is no back out option. There is no step back. Otherwise, you'll feel bad, or you have to give an answer to your coach or mentor as well. That's a great point there. Yeah, love it, love it. And yeah, I heard that you talk about you smashing that Heroes 2 journey and value ladder concept together. I wanna know if you can throw some light on that one concept. How do you define that as?
Yeah, we met at Funnel Hacking Live this year. So I spoke there about this concept of this Heroes 2 journeys, where you have this outer journey and inner journey that's going on. So you have this outer journey, which is the goal on the surface, right? You have this thing that this goal, this dream, this plan. If you want to build a coaching program, you know, you want to make some sort of money, or you want to have some sort of time freedom, or something that you want, right? Something that you desire, and it has a visible goal, like a visible finish line. And then on the same path, this inner journey is going on, like I talked about, this identity struggle, this push and pull around identity and who you really are, right? And who you want to become. And usually it happens under the surface. You don't actually know that it's going on. As you pursue that outer goal and that outer journey, you're really kind of changing on the inside. A lot of the thoughts and beliefs, you're killing off that old identity and moving into the new you, the person who can actually achieve that goal, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I think about the value ladder and the structure, the way that we designed ours inside Seven Figure Flipping, is what I noticed is the people that came in, they have very visible like outer goals. They're very similar, right? And they also had very similar like inner struggles, while they had different backgrounds and different cultures they came from and different beliefs and upbringing and you know where they grew up, cities, towns, jobs, kids, no kids, that kind of stuff. They were all going through very similar kind of transformation of character for themselves and killing something off. And what I noticed was inside the program, like normally they'd come in for something. So they'd come in to fix a problem or something that was going on or some need that was missing. But when they came in, they stayed because of the community, because of the transformation that's happening, because of the new belief systems, because of the culture. And so I said, something's going on here, right? There's something happening. And it was very defined for what I was trying to do. Where I was struggling is I was trying to sell the intangible stuff on the front end to the customer. Mm-hmm. So when the customer's coming, I said, you got to join this mastermind because the people in it are so awesome. You'll have a transformation. You don't even know how great it is. Like, that's not why people buy stuff. People buy stuff to solve a problem that they have. But people keep stuff and use stuff because of the way it makes them feel. Right? Mm-hmm. And so there was a line there where I saw when they paid 15, for us, it was 15,000, 25,000, and 50,000. These were kind of our three programs. And when they paid, when they were looking to solve their problem, the reason why they bought is because they were looking in the early stages of early real estate investors are looking for tactics. And we've kind of boiled it down to one word. And for them, it was tactics. But when they came in, we gave them tactics. We gave them the tactics. But I think we can all be pretty honest. Like, people know what they need to do. Like, we don't need a lot more tactics. But you think you do. You think you do when you're getting started. But what you really need is like support, and you need accountability, and you need a place to go and people to confide in, and you need a community that will wrap around you when you're down and celebrate you when you're up, right? And that's what you need through all this is really accountability, the community. And so Barry Baumgartner runs a company called Sage. She actually helps put on Funnel Hacking Live, and she calls it accountability, community, and enhanced opportunity. These are the three things that are what makes masterminds and coaching programs so great. If you have those three things, you will have a very successful program. Accountability, community, and an enhanced opportunity. If you're doing some sort of coaching, you already have some enhanced opportunity for the people. But if you can build a community that's really amazing and have dialed in, built-in accountability in there, then your people will flourish. And so we started selling the solution to the problem up front, which seems obvious, right? But then once they came in, we immediately transitioned to the inner journey to give them some character transformation in themselves, some identity shifts, and kind of help them kill off that old identity to step into the new them that can accomplish those things. So basically what we did was we sold the outer journey on the front end with our marketing and messaging and strategy and all that stuff. And then we fulfilled the inner journey, if that makes sense. For those who know the hero's two journeys, they understand that. But that's kind of the concept. And then each way up the value ladder, for our next step, it was loneliness. And then the next step after that, our 50K program was purpose. These are people that are making millions of dollars and want to get to over $10 million a year or more. And really, honestly, they think that that's what they want, but they really want to find their purpose in life and their next stage, their next thing. They're successful entrepreneurs. They know they can do it, but they kind of feel like they've accomplished some things. They're on the top of the mountain and looking over this other mountain, like, kind of might want to climb that one over there, or I'm trying to figure out my next step. And so I talk purpose to those folks, and I talk loneliness to the people that are in our 25K program, because those people are the biggest players in their real estate industry. They're starting to build their teams and their staff and things like that. And there's no one else in their local area that everybody's taking from them in their local area. Everybody's asking them questions. They can't kind of share and find somebody who's a higher level than them. And so they need to get in a room because they feel lonely in their local area, so they get to branch out. So those are kind of the three messages that we portray on our front end marketing, specifically designed for people that qualify for each level of those programs.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. It's making so much sense now. I'm leaving as a coach even. I recently launched my new offer, and I was seeing even my current clients want to upgrade to new offer, and I was like, I didn't even reach out to those people to upgrade. They want to stay in the community because I offer a bigger bigger term offer. Instead of 6 months, they can stay with me 1 year. Now it's making a lot of sense because of the community that they want to stay with me and they want to upgrade, not just because of any more tactics and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what we try to do is we try to take them. The interesting thing is, if as a coach, you can take them through that inner journey of their identity, the faster you can take them through that transformation, the faster they'll move up the value ladder, and because they're seeing massive success, right? Because we know if we can kill off the thing that's holding us back. If you think of the identity as the thing on your shoulder saying you can't do that, or you're not good enough, or why do you think you can do all those things, or you don't. It's like your thermostat sometimes, right? You didn't have money growing up. Why do you think you can have money? And all these things that are happening, right? And if you can kill off that voice, that thing that's back there holding you back, then you're running faster, you're seeing success faster, you're becoming the person that you need to become to achieve that outer goal, that it's more money, more impact, more growth, more contribution, whatever it is. And you can run faster. And so now you're seeing success, and you help them get success, your program, right? So like, okay, what's next? Like, what's the next thing for me? So they start looking up the value ladder. So, and then if you can show them, well, hey, now I bet you feel lonely now. You need to hire some people. You need this kind of thing. You need to get in this other room, and they move up the value ladder. And then up there, they see success quickly, right? They go through a new inner journey because now they have a new problem. So each time you solve a problem, we create another one.
Yeah.
And now your next program, your next level program, should solve the next problem that you created in the program before that. And it's just a little bit more expensive, or it's longer, or it's different people, or it's a different community. And they just want to keep moving up and up and up. So, and it's because of the success they've seen, the transformation they've had in your community. Of course, they want to stay in your community. They love it. And if you can build that, then the sky's the limit, as far as I'm concerned, of what you can build. And because if you help other people succeed, like, they're going to want to stay with you and move up.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's right on. Exactly. I remember I pitched my 25K offer to my existing student, and they were like, "Yeah, Sahil, tell me the payment plan." I was like, "You don't have any objections to buy 25K offer? Like, it's so much money and all that." In my mind, I was thinking, I was not believing I would be able to sell it, but just because that was more advanced stage, and that makes sense. They want to, now it's a new problem that I created. They already made six figures. They want to go to multiple. They have needed teams and all that stuff in order to grow to that level.
And if you can give them, if you can build massive value, then they know what you can do on the next one and the next one and the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So what I found when I launched my $50,000 program is like one-on-one working with me last year.
Mhm.
And what I realized, because I talked to some people who weren't already in my community, and I felt I was on a sales call. It was like, I'm trying to convince them to come join my 50K program. I know what I can do for them.
Yeah.
I know that they'll grow massively if they join this program, but I've never shown them any real results. They've seen my journey. They know that I'm capable of doing those things for myself, but they haven't seen success yet through me. So what I realized was, I was like, I don't want to be on sales calls with these folks. I don't want to be convincing them to do something, because then so if we can show value, whether it's free out there on a show, a podcast like this, and you're giving massive value, then they're like, I've already gotten $10,000, $15,000, $50,000 worth of advice. So of course, when you launch a program, I'll buy. That's why I bought Justin's $25,000 offer on a podcast. I've already got massive value from him. And I'm like, that's for free. Can you imagine what it would be like if I paid?
Yeah.
Right. And then you start kind of breeding your own kind of almost like hunting area for your next level programs. And you're building out this basically list, or an email list, or a community of people that are raising their hand saying, I want more. And you can either build it from the bottom up or build it from the top down. I mean, some people I know launch a $100,000 offer first, and then they're building down their value ladder. I highly encourage people to just like focus on one area of that, get people massive results, and then figure out what they need next. Or if you're starting at the very top, figure out where they're coming from. And then you can build out that value ladder and structure it, and let your customers create the next level value ladder, the next level for you. Let them create the next program.
Ah, that's so on point, and it's making so much sense. Recently, what I did, I finished off my 5-day challenge 2 days before, and I taught this concept of reverse value ladder statement. So you can start from top as well. People were already thinking. Russell always talk about $7 product, then you go up, and all. I'm glad you mentioned this thing. I want this thing a little bit more. Your wisdom on this thing. When a person starts, they're confused about that. They're like looking at two different people. Take an example. They are looking understanding Russell's world, and there is someone else came like me and say, hey, reverse it, and they'll be like, what should I do? What advice would you give to these people? How would they make
Well,
that decision?
yeah, I think I understand your question. The way, so like we're launching a new company, right?
Mhm.
A new offer, and it's a 2-day, $100,000 for 2 days. Like, we'll fly to you, we go into the business and restructure all the hero's journey, like through the hero's journey and data and analytics from my test pilot career and all that stuff. If you think about like the movie Moneyball and all, like we're
Mhm.
gonna roll out a report over 2 weeks for that client, somebody who's like already doing $5-10 million in their coaching business, and we go find like free money, just go restructure the value ladder, create a new offer, these kind of things. So what I did was I said, I don't want to build like a challenge around that's free to get people to opt in to go do this next thing. Like, we've already established ourselves that we can do this.
Mhm.
So what I did was I created the offer, and I said it's $100,000 for 2 days, right?
Mhm.
It's expensive.
Yep.
And I know that. So then what I did was I said, here's what I'm going to do. I want some case studies. So for 2 people right now, we did it for cost. So like all of our costs, my airplane flying out there, our hotels, cars, all this stuff, we're going to do it to show people what we can do. And we're going to take those case studies and say, look, so I'll give you an example. Krista Mayshore is somebody who's in
Yep.
Russell's Inner Circle. We went out and visited with her for 2 days, and we found $16.2 million for her over the next year, that if she makes a couple tweaks, she could go like adjust the business a little bit and structure the model to kind of like a couple of ideas were like kill off continuity and launch a new program, like a next level of the value ladder, instead of keeping people in there on continuity. $16.3 million. Like, that's real money that we showed mathematically and fairly conservatively what could happen. And so with those kind of stats and stories, then we can launch that. And then the next step that we're doing is in January at our office in Nashville, we're going to do a $10,000 event where we deconstruct that for people who are like, so we start at the 100K, right? So we have the 100K.
Yep.
And then we say, okay, how do we get people that know about this or are interested in this? So we said, well, for people who can't afford 100K, because we're only going to do one of those a month. Like we can't do a lot of them. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort to produce a report. Then people can come here and do, so that's one-to-one, like done for you, right? And then there's done with you. So you come to the office for $10,000. We'll show you everything that we do on these site studies, and you can go do it on your own, in your own business. This is exactly what we do. Take you through the whole methodology, the whole structure, the mathematics on all of it, show some case studies, some examples, workshop it while we're there, and then go back and dig into all your data, all your analytics, and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And so then people can say, okay, that's 10,000. But if like with all these coaches, right? Some people are going to be like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Can you guys just do it for me? And so then we say, yeah, well, we have this $100,000 offer where we can just schedule you to go do it. And then eventually we'll work our way down to, well, how do we fill up that $10,000 event, right? We got to show people what we're doing and find the right avatar for us. And so we kind of work our way from the top to the bottom. So I think the biggest piece of advice on this that I can give is whatever you're best in the world at, whatever identity you've just shifted out of, that you're really passionate, the story that you can tell, the way that you can help people, go build something around that. So for me, like over the last 3 years inside of our company, we've been studying all the data, all the analytics. We've been running all the numbers. We've hypothesized of what we think is going on. We've tested it all in our laboratory, and we found massive results. And so now I'm like, hey, I could help another coach and consultant do this that has, masterminds, coaching programs, runs events, all that stuff. Here's our data. We can extrapolate that and interpolate it back to another company to say, it's likely that you'll see very similar results to us. Here's a couple things that we learned, and share that knowledge and that wisdom with them. And so we've already kind of mastered this inside our business. We can go out and sell it and teach it and help other companies. And so if you're listening to this, it's like, what have you just mastered? What is the thing that you had to go through? And then how can you best like share that and teach that for somebody else that's going through, have the same problems that you had in the beginning? So whatever hero's journey you just went on, can you build a program or product around that to make sure that people that are going through the same problems, same issues, same like very similar stuff that you went through, you can talk to it directly. Build a program around it. I mean, you can go through everybody that's built a program, a coaching mastermind, all this stuff. They're basically like teaching people that are a year or two behind them.
Yeah, sure.
Say, don't do this. Like we had to go through all this. We had to figure all this out. Stacy and Paul Martino are a great example in the relationship industry. Like they tell their story. Like we were hanging by a thread. We were getting ready to split up. And out of that came us figuring out our relationship and then building a relationship program to make sure that people didn't have to go through that same problem. I do the same thing in my real estate coaching company. It's like, I went through all this. I learned it all the hard way. Let me, you can pay for speed. I have a program here that's going to show you the things that you can avoid. And so for everybody that's out there, that might be a $50,000 or $100,000 program. It might be something, if the bigger problems you can solve, the more you can charge.
Right on, man. I'm loving this conversation. It's like a coaching session for me.
Well, and the thing for you is that really challenged me. What I realized for myself is I had trouble building my $50,000 program. And what I needed to do was I needed to pay somebody else a lot more money to realize that I was worth a lot more money. So I joined Russell's $150,000 program. So when I did that, I was like, why can't I charge $50,000? Why can't I charge $100,000? So like this year it's going up to $100,000. And that gave me confidence, and renewing in that program and seeing massive value. I said, I can do the same thing. And so I see a lot of times people come to me sometimes like, I don't know how to charge even $5,000 for my coaching program. I said, well, what's the most expensive course you've ever bought? And they're like, I don't know, like $97. I said, well, that could be why, that could be a problem in with what you've got going on. You're not willing to invest in yourself. So you can't see why somebody else would invest in themselves with you.
And you're talking my same words. I use that in my coaching. My desire was to charge 25K, I paid 40K plus to a coach first. And I knew that I'm not paying to learn strategies, tactics. I'm paying just to break my investment barrier so that one day I can also charge. And next month I had my first 100K month. And I was like, people don't believe, people don't see that. Like I'm saying that you gotta be invest if you want to charge more. Otherwise you won't know the feeling. You won't gonna even get the confidence to charge more. That's what exactly you are saying here. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. If you're there with the open hands, right?
Yeah.
You have open hands, and everybody's like, you're close-fisted. You're gonna you're going to get what you give, you know?
So true.
And so have those open hands. You know, I like to, I invest in myself. I drink my own Kool-Aid, right? We do, you kind of get who and what you are. And so a lot of times, like, you want to attract those people, you got to start thinking about what are you doing? What are you doing for yourself? And coaches always have coaches. Like, it's really important.
So true. I love that Myron quote. He always talk, coach without a coach doesn't deserve to be a coach.
I like that. Yeah.
That's super awesome. I know we are limited on time, Bill. Thank you so much for this. But I have so many questions still I want to. I don't know if you have time to go over.
Yeah, sure. I
Or
got some time. Go ahead. If it's
yeah,
okay with you,
so
sure.
sure. Okay. I wanted to dive deep into that data thing, the KPIs that you talk about, that you have mastered the data and you always talk about know your data, know your KPIs. And process of understanding all these metrics I've noticed is undervalued. Or I think it's also because it depends on stages where you are in your journey. So according to you, why is data so critical in someone's success or someone's journey?
Well, so I'm like recently involved in kind of the ClickFunnels world, Russell's world, a lot of the folks that you've had on the show. And what I notice is, like, they're really great marketers. So they're really great at, like, running ads, and they're great at copy and story and funnels and those kind of things. And it's not they're not the most operationally sound people and
Yeah.
companies. So, and because that's not really like the people just like, I'm going to run ads. I'm going to look at my ROAS. I'm going to do X number of conversions, and then I'm going to fulfill that. And I made, $6 million on this launch. And they don't have real good, like, a handle sometimes on the data and the numbers and what are the fulfillment costs? What are they paying themselves? What's the net profit? What does the P&L look like? The balance sheet, all that stuff. And so I have a background in engineering, a mechanical engineering undergraduate and aeronautical engineering master's. The test pilot school was all math and science. It was crazy, like very high level math and data. We had to crunch really complex mathematical equations and data and look at graphs and charts and kind of tell a story of why an aircraft is doing a certain thing. And so when I got into business, that's where I focused. I focused on the numbers, because the numbers can tell you and predict what's going to happen. If you could see trends. And I look at it like the Matrix. Have you ever seen the movie The Matrix, where all the numbers are coming down? Like, I feel like if you can see that, like if you can see a story in those numbers, then you can figure out how to make decisions that are tactically made decisions, not emotional decisions, but actual tactical decisions. Because that past performance should likely dictate some future results, or at least be able to hypothesize. So I think data is important because you have a ton of it, and if you're probably tracking it, it's available to you. There's a ton of it, but not a lot of people want to look at the past. They just want to keep going forward in the future, which I think is smart in some areas, but not so smart when it comes to your money, because I don't like people when they just spend money just in hopes. I want you to spend money where you have a calculated reason. So if you have like a 70 or 80% chance of winning, all you have to do is play more, and you'll win all the time. And so that's kind of my strategy. And what we do is we look at, if you think about it, I'll use my business as an example.
Sure.
What we did over the last 3 years, we had 3 years of data of our buyers, right? People who are coming to our events, buying at our events, buying our high ticket programs, $15,000, $25,000 programs at the events. We do live events, conversion. And so what we found was we went to look for the money ball. Like, what is the number that is above all numbers? Like, what is the thing that there's a trend in everybody that buys? We analyzed like the hundreds and hundreds of mastermind buyers. And what do we see? So what we found was, on average, they attended 2.5 events before they bought. So we found that it was pretty much like in common. So 2.5 events that they bought. And so, and we used an event, and you have to classify all this stuff, right? What defines an event? It's not just like coming to a 30-minute webinar, 1 hour webinar. It was like a 4-hour masterclass, a in-person event, one of our conferences. It was a 5-day challenge, like attending a 5-day challenge. It wasn't like buying my book, or like, coming into like downloading a video, one of the free videos or something like that. Yeah. So what we found was we were only doing like 8 to 10 events a year. Mm-hmm. So sometimes these people to attend 2.5 events, it would take them a year or 18 months before they would buy. So our buy cycle is really long. And so we had this hypothesis. And so what we did with it is this past 12 months, we bought a building, we bought an office, a physical office that we could run 48 events out of in a year. So like more 4-hour master classes, more like all day meetups, like come to the office. We can do Zoom and live in person.
Yeah.
And then we also did like more challenges, more in-person events, like just more events that we had. And so what we did was we looked over the last year, and I have the actual data because we just ran our event in October, and we just had a huge conversion event where we brought in like 137 people. And on average now, it is 2.6 events still. So all the buyers, I think it's 2.68. So 2.68 events they had to attend on average, all the people that just bought in a brand new cycle. But we decreased that timeline from like 13 months down to like 3 months.
You increase the frequency of the event.
Yeah. So if we can increase the frequency and retain the same money ball of 2.5 events, if that was true, which we weren't sure, if we might have seen we did more events, right? It might have gone to 5 or 6 or 8 events because we had so many more to attend. But on average, that's the time that they buy. And so it was very interesting to see that. So what did we do? We bought an office building. We went all in on this strategy, this hypothesis. Yeah. And now what we did was we saw that, and now we're even taking it a step further in all the stuff that we're doing, like this event that we're doing at the office for coaches is like, okay, now we're trying to figure out what other things weighted the decision-making process more. And so then we can say, well, we looked at those 60 events that we did last year, how many of those can we kill off because they weren't effective, because people attended, but they didn't buy, those people didn't buy. And then what were the ones that like somebody attended an event, and then bought like fast? And how can we go deeper in those type of events? And then you can kind of like design your entire business around an actual strategy instead of I heard somebody tell me that this works for them, maybe it'll work for me. And that's what we do a lot of times. Listen to a podcast or we go to an event and they're like, oh, they're doing this. And then our focus, we never focus to build like long-term strategy in a company where we're marching down that direction. I realize that some people are like, I'm not an engineer. I don't know numbers. I don't know data. This is way overwhelming. It's scary to me. I don't want to do that stuff. I totally get it. And believe me, the people that we go visit, they say that too. What I'll tell you is it doesn't have to be you. You can find somebody to do it. You can hire somebody to do it. I'm sure there's companies out there that even will give you reports. But it's really important to not miss it just because you don't like it, or it's not your skill set, or your and I won't tell you to go learn that, go study it, do all those things. Like if it's a weakness for you, find somebody who it's a strength for and bring them in. And that person, I'll give a little secret of what we're doing.
Sure.
And I've never talked about this before. So go to a college, local college, or a local college is what we're doing. And we're trying to get interns from there, from the, like data science interns, people who are like numbers driven data scientists that you can hire in potentially there. The military also has a program called Skill Bridge for people that are getting out of the military and moving into the real world. And you get 6 months free. They can come intern for you for 6 months for free. So we're using that too. So there's like 2 tips of things where you can find, and that works for anything. It's not just data science. Yeah. What if you can find like an intern for your social media in the beginning, or somebody who wants to come learn and you don't have to pay them a lot of money, or maybe they have a full-time job down the road and they need internship, or they need some things for their college or for the military. So those are 2 tips that you can go find somebody that has the skill and bring them in and hire them. It could even be part-time. That's a couple recommendations I have.
That's some gold nuggets out there you drop, man. It's like non-negotiable. I'm also from engineer background. I have done my master's in engineering, but still I hate that stuff. It's not like I love it. It's like, but sometimes I feel like can't live without it. If I have to grow, I have to look at it. Otherwise, I'll be making decisions based on just guesses and whether this thing will, maybe not. Like events example you gave, 48 events you guys scheduling it. That's all data driven.
Yeah, but keep in mind, we bought a building and made people come to me. So like I did a lot of them I did during my normal working hours, where I'm massively passionate about it. I can talk for 4 hours on a topic about real estate, no problem. And they come to me. Same thing with the event that we're doing in January. You want to learn the stuff that we're doing on the 9th and 10th, you come to us. Like you got to come to the office. I travel enough as it is for the masterminds and all those things that
Yeah.
set it up such that it fits within your lifestyle, your business. Doesn't mean you have to put on like events at a hotel. Like it could be a
Mhm.
meetup at your house.
Yeah.
It could just be like have a every the first Monday of every month, you have a meetup at your house. Like it's just about building trust. The faster we can build trust with people, the faster they're going to buy from you. And the only way you can build trust is by like those value and interaction. I'd say every single person that came to 2 or more in-person events here, we don't have a lot of people that come in person,
Yeah.
maybe 20 or 30, all bought from us,
Oh,
all of them.
and it
And
makes
so
sense
in
why.
person conversion way higher. They get to
True.
interact with me. They get to ask questions afterwards. They get to see that I'm a real person. Like I drive up
Yeah.
here, I'm in jeans and flip flops and t-shirts, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And we just talk and we get to know each other and they see that you're a real person, and they join. They come in, and it speeds up trust so fast. And the other thing is, Sahil, you mentioned that you're an engineer and you don't like to do it. I don't like to mine the data anymore. Like I don't like to go in and like I don't do that anymore. But
Mhm.
I love to have like high level conversations about the data. So when my team brings it to me, it's like I can just see the matrix in it. I start asking like very specific questions. Well, and you start hypothesizing and coming up with ideas and you can see the future and start. You're the
True.
visionary that can kind of see if I took this and did this with it. And that's why my COO and myself are so valuable, because when we go to a place, we go to somebody's business, he's mining the data, and then he and I are talking about it, and I'm taking the information and creating the vision for the entrepreneur that we're going to see. And so like those two things combined, where he's
Yeah.
mining it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
grabbing it and going into all the systems, all the stuff you probably don't want to do. Like if you find that person to just go mine the data for you and then bring it back at a high level and then you can make sense of it, I bet you would love that.
No doubt in that. That's what exactly I'm looking for in my business. And I'm talking with a couple of people regarding the same thing who can do that, sales manager or the appointment setters who knows how to keep track of KPIs, every number, how many calls we are booking, how many conversations we are doing, and all that stuff. It makes so much sense, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could bring in just a VA
Yeah.
if you have a CRM and all that stuff. Just go in and grab all this information and put it here and kind of build it out for me, and then it'll rise up to a higher level. So I have my salesperson, I have my membership person, I have my event person, and they all bring and my financial director, and they kind of bring all that information up to the top of each of their
Mhm.
departments, and then my COO jams it together, and then we look at it together for a couple hours each week and just kind of high level strategize the tweaks that we should make and the things that we see.
Yeah, then it's decision makes on that's what you said, tactical decisions. These are not some emotional decisions. And I love that.
Yes.
Man, I got this full fill out and right here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I'm filling this out. Loving
Love
it,
it.
man. All the gold nuggets that you drop. Thank you so much, Bill, for doing this. This is one of the best interview episode. I can proudly say this thing. It's more of a coaching call to me. I felt like it. For people watching, I hope you guys got values. Any last message for our buddy entrepreneurs out there, Bill, before we wrap?
No, I mean, that's a huge honor for me. I saw in the intro video of like all the people that you had on the show. So they're all people I respect dearly and have gotten to know quite a few of them over the past few years. So that means a lot to me. I would just say to the people out there, like, if you're just getting started in the coaching consulting world, just like lean into your mastery, like what you're best in the world at. If you can figure that out, and then just talk to your people, like your people will hear you. They'll be attracted to you, and just put your message out there. Like even before you think you have it, just put your message out there and start sharing it. And then people will start asking you how you can help them. And just go do it. And for those of you that are at a much higher level, like there's a level above your level. Like there just
Always.
is. That's what I'm realizing is every I just want to be the dumbest person in every room that I go in. And there's a whole nother level on top of everything. And growth and contribution are my phase of life right now. And I just want to continue growing. It's been a lot of fun, and I love doing these shows. I usually have to like interview people on my show all the time, and sometimes it's nice to kind of tell a story or talk about what you're doing. So I appreciate you bringing me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure and honor to have you once again, man. All right, people who are watching us, replay, live, whatever, we'll be catching up in another episode very soon. Till then, stay tuned. Bye. Take care, everyone.